Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
Friday edition of Areva Martin in real time. Welcome. Avi Bernard here with you every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Let's get you caught up. Hawaii state tourism officials, after initially urging travelers to stay away, are now asking them to come back, avoid the burn zone, and help Maui recover by spending their money. Airlines have started offering steep discounts, while resorts have slashed room rates by 20% or are offering a fifth night for free. The number of visitors arriving on Maui sank about 70% after the August 8th fire. The Georgia District Attorney, at the heart of Donald Trump's latest indictment yesterday, rebuked House Republicans' investigation into her office, accusing them of blatantly trying to obstruct a criminal proceeding. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis yesterday sent a fiery letter to House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan, responding to his decision to launch an investigation into the Georgia office just hours before Trump appeared in court late last month on charges related to interfering in the 2020 election. In a blistering 9-page response, Willis called Jordan's actions offensive, accused him of being misinformed, and said, quote, "It's clear that you lack a basic understanding of the law, its practice, and the ethical obligations of attorneys general and prosecutors specifically." Tech billionaire Elon Musk has come under fire from Ukraine after it emerged he thwarted a major attack on the Russian Navy. According to experts published by CNN, a soon-to-be-released biography of the SpaceX CEO claims that Musk secretly ordered his engineers to turn off his Starlink satellite network over Russian-occupied Crimea last year in order to prevent a Ukrainian drone strike on Russia's naval fleet. Musk responded to the report denying that he turned off the service, but accepting he had chosen not to enable the attack because he didn't want to become directly involved in the war. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis got into a heated argument during a press conference yesterday with an audience member who blamed him for a recent racially motivated mass shooting that left 3 black people dead. DeSantis' team has been defensive on social media and in news articles following similar accusations from state Democrats, black leaders, and the White House after a white gunman initially targeted a historically black college, then committed the murders in a nearby store in Jacksonville, Florida, before killing himself. Team USA has crashed out of the FIBA World Basketball Cup with a shock 113 to 111 loss in the semifinals against Germany. The U.S. was considered an overwhelming favorite to win the World Cup and took a strong team to the Philippines. However, following a disappointing performance, the U.S. was the victim of a huge upset. And it turns out a concerned citizen who saw a man attacking a woman after a soccer match Sunday at Exposition Park flagged down police, unaware that the man was Dodgers pitcher Julio Urias. Shortly thereafter, police arrested Urias outside of BMO Stadium on suspicion of domestic violence. The police reportedly have cell phone video captured by a civilian of the alleged incident. And Coco Gauff is into the U.S. Open Finals. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about USA basketball coming short at the World Cup. We're going to get right to that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center proudly presents its 25th annual Real Black Men Short Film Showcase, September 22nd through September 24th. Join us for the opening night celebration on Friday, September 22nd, and enjoy the short film showcase featuring 47 films by emerging black male directors from across the country. Continuing on Saturday, September 23rd and Sunday, September 24th. All events will be held at the Regal LA Live Cinemas, 1000 West Olympic Boulevard in downtown Los Angeles. For more information and tickets, visit bherc.org. That's bherc.org or call 323-957-4656. That's 323-957-4656. Don't miss your chance to celebrate excellence in black cinema all weekend long at the Real Black Men Short Film Showcase. See you there.
Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com.
Cookie
for
wants to be a
details.
professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze Fruit on the Go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
The present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
And we're back on KBLA Talk 1580. Avi Bernard with you every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific. Welcome whether you're joining us on 1580 a.m. here in Los Angeles or you are listening on the free KBLA app or listening to and watching us on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. So, fellas, USA basketball came up a little bit short. They were heavy favorites to. Oh, Andy's putting on the headphones. They were heavy favorites going into this tournament, and they, admittedly, from head coach Steve Kerr, were a little undersized, and that's a big deal in basketball these days. Size matters in many areas of life, apparently, but also in basketball. So, what's your take on this loss? Danny, let's start with you, former collegiate player and coach.
Live by the three, die by the three. You got to have some size, man. Wagner destroyed those guys inside out. Schroeder probably was underestimated. A lot of people, if you don't have a max contract these days, a lot of guys don't respect you. They think it's just normal to make 10, 15, 20 million. But this guy wears his heart on his sleeve. He's very capable. He can hit shots. He's aggressive, and he has no fear. And he showed that today by the type of shots that he hit, right? I mean, he can play, right? Just because you see him on TV over here and he's coming off the bench or he seems like a role player or he made bad decisions joining this team, didn't get the max deal, you think you count him out. No, he's playing at home. He's playing in an environment with international rules that he's used to, and he showed that today. And unfortunately, a lot of people complain and say, oh, we're sending second tier. There's no such thing as second tier. Get out of here with that. These guys are professional athletes. Many of them are max players, starters, all-stars, all type of stuff. That dream team thing was a one-time thing, okay? Anytime we put anytime we put basketball players on the floor, they should be able to beat anybody in the world because this is the best league in the world, correct? So I don't buy that, but we all know that KD wasn't there, LeBron wasn't there. We can say that. These guys want to take a little time off, family, you know what I mean, travel, whatever they got going on, and then we'll see these guys in Paris. Because in Paris, we're going to win the gold.
For the Olympics, you mean?
Yeah, we're gonna win 2024.
So presumably then they will have different players on that team other than the players that were on this squad.
100%.
And it wasn't the Olympics, and it wasn't a tournament that the United States usually takes serious. And, you know, we don't win every tournament. I mean, we win most of them, but we don't win all of them. And especially when you don't have, you know, maybe the 5 or 10 best players in the league on the team. And so the NBA is the best league, but the parity has come a long way.
Oh, for sure.
In international basketball.
Yes, it has.
And that's why you see so many international players in the tournament around the world playing for other teams, playing for other countries. So, but Dr. Fletcher, what's your take on USA going down in flames?
Listen, I'm gonna try to be as respectful as I possibly can. I'm a U.S. citizen, and I was expecting this result.
Oh,
with
wow!
all due respect, good brother Danny. No, when I saw to each of your points, like you basically made the point I was gonna make. The world is caught up to us. This isn't. I say this isn't 1992 Dream Team with a different point at the end of it, Danny. The world isn't sitting there asking for our autographs doing shoot-arounds. They've caught up.
That's true.
They've caught up to us, all right? They're good. And again, you all remember when Noah Lyles criticized saying, how do these other sports call themselves world champions like the NBA? Because it's a global league. Dennis Schroeder and Franz Wagner lit us up. They're NBA players, not even tier 1 NBA players. Lit us up. Lithuania lit us up. Serbia or Canada might light us up when we play in the bronze medal game because I believe Shea and Dylan and all these guys. We got NBA players on all of these global teams. So from the standpoint of us just rolling out of bed and sending over whomever we want to and have a roster full of NBA players. Again, these other rosters have NBA players, not rosters full of them, but again, like Danny mentioned, they play by FIBA rules all the time. That's a different set. You're not just going to dive into that. Even our best, look at the Redeem team. Even our best had to adjust to that when they thought they were just going to physically impose their will on the rest of the world. These players are good. And when I saw, again, no disrespect, when I saw the Josh Hart, and I loved me some Austin Reeves, but when I saw Austin Reeves was dominating and I saw that Edwards was our go-to, I said, all right, at some point, either Steve Kerr is going to pull a Popovich and have the greatest team ball you've ever seen since the Princeton Triangle. That didn't happen. So now the rest of the world showed that. We sent an undersized team, tried to pack the paint, trying to make up for that, and they lit us up from the outside. Back in the day, that never would have happened. So part of it, it was expected, to be honest with you. I was not surprised when I saw the result come across the ticker. I wasn't surprised when we lost the other day when it came across the ticker. Because, again, when I kept seeing, and you're right, professional athletes are professional athletes, Danny, but they ain't all created equal.
Yeah,
so while I believe that we gonna right this ship come Paris, I wasn't surprised by this result at all, man. I really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the USA played poorly. They shot 12 of 25 from
exactly
three. I mean, that's almost 50%, and Germany shot 13 of 30, so they made one more, but they shot a lower percentage. And USA played really well. I mean, from an offensive standpoint, from a field goal percentage standpoint, and you know, a lot of guys getting up shots, and I just think that they're undersized, and you can't have a lack of size in the NBA. The Lakers have shown that, and their struggles with the roster as it was constructed prior to the trade deadline this past season, and even since, to a degree, you got to have size in basketball, and you can have guards and forwards galore, but you got to have some bulk in the middle. But Andy, put your headphones back on, man. What were you gonna say, man? Come on now. I know you got something to add to this conversation. What's up?
You know, Dr. Fletcher kind of stole my thunder, but all I'm gonna say is, man,
jump in.
Noah Lyles is somewhere over here just laughing a storm.
And so people may not be aware of what y'all are talking about. So Noah Lyles, a track star for a U.S. track star, has said that when the NBA teams win the championship, they wear shirts and hats that say world champions on them. And Noah Lyles was saying, well, how are they world champions? It's a national league, and there's one team in Canada, but you can't say that they're world champions. So why are y'all calling yourselves world champions? And NBA players were pushing back and kind of upset. And I mean, he kind of has a point. I got to say, I mean, I don't think that you should say that they're world champions when they win the NBA finals, and they do it in baseball too. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you should do that, because it is a league that has only American teams and one Canadian team, and y'all aren't playing. And people might say, well, yeah, it's the best league and stuff, but you have players from different nations on the teams that win. Look at the Nuggets. Their best player is not American, and so it's really hard to say that teams who win the NBA championship are world champions. To Noah Lyles' point, whether or not NBA players like it, but we do have someone on the line who also, I believe, was a former collegiate basketball player. Everett is joining us from Utah. What's up, Everett?
Not much. Griff, I like your crease shirt. It looks good, Griff.
you must be watching us on YouTube.
Hilarious.
I'm watching. Yeah, he's probably got an undershirt too. That's free too.
It's my teammate from UNLV.
Right. Nice.
I do see the outline. I do see the outlines of your wife beater there, Danny Griffin. But go ahead, Everett. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to comment on a few things, but with the whole world, this Lyles kid that said what he said. And Danny, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If we sent one NBA team to go play in this FIBA situation, they will win this going away because they know each other and plays and they practice together.
But though, I'm gonna let you finish, Everett. But NBA teams have international players, and so
but
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but not every NBA team has international players. Like you can send, if you get rid of one international, there's only one dominant or two maybe dominant international players on each team. But if you take one of those guys away and you plug him in with another guy, you will win going away because you know your guys and going forward. But these guys are all put together for a couple of weeks in Vegas. Griff, you know how that is. Are they really getting it in? Because they're getting it in after practice, Griff. You already know what that means.
Oh, for sure.
But it's just I played overseas for 12 years and in and out of the NBA for like 3 or 4, but it's just different. And Griff, you and I talked about this. We saw this coming a long time ago when I went over there. I was like, I've never seen a 7-footer that can handle the ball like that. But going forward with this whole the world champion thing, if you take, you can play the Lakers, Griff, right? Lakers, how many international players they have on the Lakers? Lakers will go to the FIBA and kill everybody. The reason why they struggled is I'm happy they made it to this far, considering who they have. I love Bobby Portis, but come on, the crazy uncle at the barbecue, is he really one of our top guys in the league? I mean, I like the kid from the Lakers. Is he really one of our top guys? Yeah, Austin Reeves, is he really one of our top guys? No. But I think they did a pretty good job making it this far, considering how young they are. Walker Kessler is on the team, and he's a Utah Jazz guy. That just shows you where you're at. But I'm a big fan of the kid Edwards. I think he's a really good kid. And I think the next in France, Danny, you know this whole team's going to look different. The only guy that's going to be on that team is probably Edwards.
Sure.
Maybe, and that's it. I mean, Jaren, I love Jaren Jackson Jr. Played with his dad. I don't think he's ready yet. But
Defensive player of the year? Defensive player of the year in the NBA? Not ready?
It's Europe. It's different. If it was a defensive player of the year, they would have won today. Right? I mean, the problem they have is on the boards. Like, international is different. They spread the floor. Griff, you know this. But they have some big guys that can move and rebound the ball. We don't like rebounding the ball at all.
We couldn't because we didn't have no size. We couldn't rebound the ball.
Exactly. That's why I'm happy they made it this far.
All right, Everett. Appreciate those 2 cents of yours. USA goes down. But we'll continue that conversation another day, I suppose. I do want to get to this BS High documentary, and I want to it's hard to know where to start with this, okay? Because it was just such. My jaw was on the floor the whole time. You know, my wife started watching it before I did. She's like, "Yo, you got to watch this. You're really gonna you feel a certain way about it." And so I did, and she was right. And basically, this dude tried to work in connection with the church, and his name is Roy Johnson. And he tried to work in connection with the church to create a school, and he wanted to run the athletic arm of the school. And the church eventually, very, very early on in the process, said, you know what, we're not going to be involved in this. Okay, we're not going to be involved in this situation of yours. He persisted anyway, and continued to try to make it seem like he was running a school when these kids were not going to class because there were no classes, because there were no teachers, because it wasn't a school. And he had kids who had already finished high school. There's so many things wrong with this, but the first thing I thought when I saw this documentary, BS High, is that he's going to get these kids hurt. That was the first thought I had.
Sure.
And, of course, it happened. Mm-hmm. Got several of them hurt, and I don't even know, they didn't get into whether the kids have insurance. They probably didn't. And if you tear your ACL, it's something that you can heal from, but it takes a very qualified surgeon, and it takes a very dedicated rehab regimen. And if you don't have both of those things, then your knee is never going to be the same. Mm-mm. So he and not only in addition to all the things that he did wrong, just his brazen lack of contrition throughout the whole thing. I'm we'll get into more of the details, but I just want to get your top line thoughts, Dr. Fletcher.
It sickened me on a number of different levels. I agree with you. It's hard to even target where I want to go in on this whole issue. And the bigger issue that I kind of want to unpack on the other side is how this was even allowed to happen, and he's free. Mm-hmm. He's not even in jail.
Nope.
Because the least of what you talked about, Avi, was the insurance fraud part of it, which we can unpack later. That's how all this got funded, was the insurance fraud portion of it, where he had parishioners sign up for life insurance and then got them to agree to give a percentage of it to this program. And they did. So he borderline on sociopath, and it showed throughout that documentary. And as smug as he was, as odd as he was throughout it, his disposition, even when he sat down, he asked the directors and producers if he looked like a con man. If you got to ask if you look like a con man, you know the rest.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. That was his first question. He sat down. How do I look? Do I look like a con man? Who asked that question?
Never seen that.
I would never even think to ask that question if I'm sitting down for an interview of any kind with anyone, whether I'm the interviewer or the interviewee. I'm never going to even consider. Do you think I look like a con man? Who thinks about that? Unless you know you're a con man. But Danny Griffin, before we step aside, I want to get your thoughts real quick. Your top line.
Yeah, because it's ongoing.
I know it's we all have a lot to say.
Yeah. Just your
hope. Initial reaction.
Just initial reaction was like, I wanted to point fingers, parents, with the coaches, who. But I understand how this is going on because we have versions of this going on locally, nationwide, but they're governed. And it is some teachers, but they're not teaching. And the kids are not living they're living in deplorable situations. Prep schools are popping up all over America with this same situation. It's just not as bad. And they're giving kids hope. You're giving hope to the hopeless because if you're academically qualified to go to a school of higher institution, then the sports is the cherry on top. When it's the opposite and you come up in a dysfunctional home or a home that's functional but something's wrong, this is what you get because somebody wasn't ready to tackle the situation. And I seen a lot of dysfunctionality in this whole documentary.
Yeah,
from all angles.
I love the start. I love the start that what you just started with that, Danny Griffin. You have said a word, and there's a lot of blame to go around, but and then they did talk about this in the documentary with IMG. You know, one of the top football high schools in the country. It's a high school academy.
Get a pass.
Academy, and they pretty much don't have to go to class or engage in academics or worry about that side of it because they're there to play football. And academics is something that maybe they'll get around to. But I do want to continue talking about this and just there's so much to cover. It's called BS High. It's on Max. That's the formerly HBO. Why would they take the HBO out of their name? I have no idea. That's another conversation for another day. Me and Dr. Fletcher have talked about that offline. What kind of sense that makes, but we're not gonna get into that today because it's not important. We're gonna talk about this wild documentary BS High when we come forward right after this news, traffic, and sports update on KBLA Talk 1580.
Areva time is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Prosecutors want all 5 black former Memphis police officers charged in the beating death of Tyree Nichols to be tried together. Lawyers for the 3 of the men filed motions for separate trials. 2 other officers charged in the Nichols case did not. According to a new poll, 4 out of 10 workers don't contribute any money at all to 401k or an employer-sponsored plan. The top stressors were inflation, rising interest rates, and a lack of savings. A historic black Minneapolis, Minnesota church is celebrating 100 years this weekend. The Pilgrim Rest Missionary Baptist Church was founded by freed slaves in 1923, so they and their children could worship without concern. They'll celebrate this Sunday. And while we're on the subject of history, in 1981, former NAACP Executive Director Roy Wilkins died on this date at the age of 80. That's the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Getting busier on the 101 Hollywood Freeway. Now, first on the southbound side of the 101 at Highland Avenue, as you head through the Cahuenga Pass, you have a broken down vehicle tying up the 2 middle lanes, and you're slow coming away from the North Hollywood Freeway split on the 101 southbound, and that slowing continues between Santa Monica Boulevard and the East LA interchange. 101 heading northbound, this is right at Sunset Boulevard, a broken down vehicle cleared out of lanes and off the freeway.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. And right now, save 50% off any order during our Labor Day sale. Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Get ready for a big-time weekend of football. College football tomorrow, the NFL on Sunday. USC and UCLA are in action Saturday. The 6th-ranked Trojans are at home against Stanford. UCLA is at San Diego State. Everybody's going to have breakfast in the morning while watching Colorado and Nebraska. Home opener for Deion Sanders in Colorado. 9 a.m. kickoff tomorrow morning on Fox. There will be no gold medal for USA basketball in the FIBA World Cup. The U.S. lost by 2 to Germany in the semifinals Friday morning. Lakers guard Austin Reeves had 21 points off the bench. Tomorrow night at 7 here on KBLA, join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for Out of Bounds. We'll get you ready for week 1 of the NFL season and recap all the buzz in college football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Gotta stay fresh, ma.
Home shot with a rest spot. Shot with a rest spot. Shot with a rest spot.
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dominique DePrima, and there are so many reasons to take out a small business loan. Set yourself up for long-term success with access to credit for operating expenses, equipment, and technology, leasing or financing, and more. Although the process may seem daunting, your U.S. Bank Business Access Advisor can guide you through that process. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, I'm Kate Levy. When I was just 10 years old, I lost my father, Joe, in the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. He was a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. For 9/11 this year, now a National Day of Service, I'll be doing what my dad loved to do, helping others in need. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
Be ready for extreme heat in your area. On days when extreme heat is expected, take action to keep your home as cool as possible. Set your air conditioner to 78 degrees. If AC isn't available, close blinds and curtains on all windows and run fans counterclockwise. Or find your nearest cooling center. Transportation help may be available. Learn more at heatreadyca.com. Brought to you by the state of California.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
We are back on Areva Martin in real time, Friday edition, with Afi Bernard here with you every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific. Dr. Fletcher, Danny Griffin, back with us. Not enough time to talk about this. I already know. It's already 5:30. You know. All right. So Danny, you started to go in a couple different directions before we stepped away. One of the many things about this that really bothered me is him selling these kids a dream that was never going to happen. Him saying, oh, you'll have a chance to go to college, and this will get you some film, and you can get a scholarship maybe, but that was never going to happen because the team didn't win a game in 2 years, but that's because of horrible coaching. It's not because the players were, they may not have been as good as some other players, but some of them were capable. Some of them had accomplished high school football careers. But if you don't even have plays, you can't expect to compete in a football game at any level. If you're coaching a Pop Warner team, you still have plays. They allegedly didn't have plays. I mean, how do you not have plays? So, but he's selling these kids on this dream. You're gonna be able to become a qualifier and get to another university. How are you gonna become a qualifier if you're not going to class? Becoming a qualifier means you have to have grades to qualify. You don't have grades to qualify if there are no teachers. It's unbelievable. And then not to mention just the sheer amount of fraud he was committing along the way.
Fraudish, some of it.
No.
A lot of fraud, but some of it was fraudish.
No, it was fraudulent.
Yeah,
it was fully fledged fraud. This dude would go to hotels. He would take his team to hotels. Danny, stop making me laugh, man. It's serious.
All right, man. I want a 90-day net on all my bills.
So they would allow him to not pay because he was going to be taking his teams to hotels long term. So he would they would allow him to not pay his bill for 90 days. Of course, he wouldn't pay the bill, and then they would leave. And then and the teams would get kicked out, and they would go to a different hotel.
Do the same thing.
And a lot of times these evictions were in the players' names. This is where it becomes not funny anymore, because these evictions were in the players' names.
Mm-hmm.
They were this went on their record, something they were not responsible for. They're there with the team, and you're an 18, 19-year-old kid. You're not going to be thinking, oh, you know what? I should really make sure that my credit is, man. What? I don't think I started worrying about my credit till I was like 30. All right. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but definitely not when I was 18 or 19. So it's just so many egregious examples of what a horrible person he is. But speaking,
you can't leave out a couple of the other greatest hits on it.
Oh yeah,
remember when he would
go ahead.
Remember when he would call the grocery stores in the morning and order all those rotisserie chickens?
Yeah.
And then he would purposely wait until the evening when they had to mark them down
and had to
and
give
go
them
buy
away
them for $2 a piece.
Right.
He would go buy them for $2 a piece.
Exactly.
It was ridiculous. And the PPP loans during COVID that he took out in these kids' names as a means of financial assistance.
Lord have mercy.
He had no scruples. He had no scruples at all, man. But anyway, you were going a different direction. I just couldn't.
No. I wasn't even done because I was gonna mention those things, and also, during the game against IMG, maybe the top football team in the nation, he didn't have proper equipment for these kids.
They were sharing helmets.
They were sharing helmets, and as people who play football, as you and I did, Dr. Fletcher, your helmet has to be fitted
for you specifically, right?
It has to be fitted specifically for you. It has to be a certified helmet
for safety.
Yeah, for safety reasons. And these helmets were not fitted or certified. And so, even if you have the perfect helmet that feels comfortable, that you love to wear, and I love this helmet, you're still in danger of getting serious concussions, and if the wrong hit happens, a certain type of play. But let alone if you have a helmet that doesn't fit, and it's falling off during the play, and then the directors who were interviewing him said, well, these kids' helmets were falling off during the play. I mean, isn't that dangerous? He said, well, football's dangerous. Are you kidding me? That's where I wanted to reach in the TV.
Yeah, you wanted to choke him,
strangle him.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? That's like saying, well, shouldn't you wear a seatbelt? That's kind of not dangerous. That's dangerous. Not wear a seatbelt, right? And then you say, well, driving's dangerous. Oh my God! And then
the food situation was awful. Very deplorable.
The food situation, and then I'm gonna zero in on a couple of these. I just have to make sure I mention everything that I can think of. But him saying, well, yeah, we so they scheduled these games right before everyone knew that they were fraudulent, and one of those games was against IMG, one of the top schools, and it was on ESPN, nationally televised, and they got beat down 58-0, and so his rationale was, yeah, it looks bad because we lost, but if I would have won, I'd have been a genius, or if we would have won, I'd have been a genius.
Oh my God.
And you know what? If I put together a bunch of middle schoolers and we beat the New York Jets, I'm gonna look like a genius too, but it's not gonna happen. It's not possible. So him saying this his whole premise is false because it was never going to happen. So any one of those things you want to take on, Dr. Fletcher, go ahead.
Well, that's why the first thing that dawned on me was this guy has some sort of disorder. Seriously, like clinical disorder.
Yes.
Because his level of just sort of internal conflict that you just saw on his face. as he was cycling through it. He was beyond a con man. It was fascinating to try and deduce what was going on in his head. Even as he was cycling through the lies, he literally said that anything that cannot be proven is fair game to lie on. He said that in the documentary. He said he only is compelled to tell the truth on things that can be proven. He said that out of his mouth.
And to people who he's loyal to, and that's turned out to not be true.
And
either.
people, that turned out not to be true as well. So there are so many different things to unpack. And I remember watching that IMG game. I was watching that on television live when it happened. And I remember just how inept those kids were. And I said, something's not right. Now, no, I didn't have any clairvoyance to know. But I started thinking to myself, something's not right. And in the middle of the game, Twitter started blowing up. Fake school, fake school, fake school. These kids are older than they look. All this stuff. And I just saw how those kids were woefully unprepared. They didn't belong on that field.
Nope.
And I said, how in the world is this on ESPN? And then ESPN started scrambling to make sense of how those kids got on that field on national television, getting crushed. I mean, they look like they had never played together, ever. So listening to Roy Johnson, and let's not leave out Andre Peterson, who somehow stuck next to him, the co-founder,
you're right.
during that interview. Let's not leave him out of this. He is complicit by virtue of him just sitting there and not wringing this guy's neck, right? There's a special place and a very hot place for people like them.
It sure is, with no ice water.
Yes, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. They preyed upon the most vulnerable amongst them. They preyed upon kids from broken homes. They preyed upon kids who desperately needed this chance. Not wanted a chance. They desperately needed. They had to have it. They did not have, because one of my first thoughts was, where are the parents?
Oh, yes.
Why aren't you scrutinizing this? Why aren't you going in? They didn't exist. They weren't there. They didn't have people to go and protect them. So these kids were making decisions, and these kids out of their own mouths blindly trusted him. One of them point blank said it. I blindly trusted him because I had no other choices. There's a special place for people like that. And he preyed upon them. He took advantage of them. He brought them into his con. He then exploited them, not just for his own gain, but it ran into their future. Those PPP loans are in those kids' names. Like you said, those evictions are on those kids' credit reports going forward. And not to mention the mental and emotional scars
man.
that leave on those kids, man. So, while my mind goes into the whole issue of how, like Danny mentioned, I'll leave some meat on the bone for him. Prep academies can get around these things, and he can even, like he mentioned at the end, and this is where I did agree with him. He said, at some point, y'all need to stop blaming me and look at the system that allowed me to do this.
Facts.
Which is, again, another level of sociopathy. But he said, don't even look at me. Look at this system that let me do it. He's 100% correct on that.
That's the only accurate thing he said in the whole documentary.
That's the only accurate thing he said in the whole documentary, man. And it broke my heart when that kid thought he had a second chance with Grambling State. And then come to find out,
that did hurt.
He came and screwed him a second time.
Man,
robbed him of his second chance, man. So again, while we're breaking it down, man, those who are listening, it sounds bad and it was hard to watch, but you should watch it.
Yeah, so you can know. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, way to lay it out there, Dr. Fletcher. And there's things we haven't even gotten to yet because there's just so much that before the IMG game, they played a game 2 days before that. The IMG game was on a Sunday. They played another full game on a Friday.
And the game before that, early in the week.
And so it's unbelievable that he had no regard for their health and safety. But I do want to,
and there's no law against it.
And that's the thing too, that another time I really wanted to reach to the screen and strangle him was when he said, "Well, there's no law, so I mean."
He knew what he could do and what he couldn't do.
And so there's no question of morality. Just is it illegal? And why isn't there a law then? It's not my fault. There's not a law, man. Oh my God! But I wanna get to you, Danny, right after this. Right after we step aside right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 is inviting you to join us on Saturday, September 16th, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for our very first economic empowerment event for the community. This event is free and it's powered by Caltrans. We're doing this in association with Rambo House, and here's Rambo to tell you more.
Contracts. I'm going to say it again for all of us small business owners out there. Contracts. Rambo House, KBLA, Tavis, me. Oh my God, this is going to be massive. I truly thank Caltrans for giving us the opportunity to focus on contracts. Listen, that's what it's all about to be a small business in LA. That's how we hire our own. That's how we expand our community is contracts. KBLA1580.com is for you to have a seat at our contracts-focused event. Contract Ready does it again. We had over 900 last time. So you guys know how exciting this is. And if you just think that you want to get into contracts and you're close to it, bring your friends out for September 16th at the Marriott Hotel. Listen, you know where to register. KBLA1580.com. Come see me. I can't wait to see you. Let's do it, Tavis.
So be sure to go to KBLA1580.com for all the details. We'll see you Saturday, September 16th.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Friday edition of Areva Martin in real time. Avi Bernard joined by Dr. Sean Fletcher and Danny Griffin. So he had these kids living in horrible conditions, didn't have enough food to feed them. As you mentioned, Dr. Fletcher, he would order 30 rotisserie chickens at the beginning of the day, and then he wouldn't pick them up. And so he would show up to the supermarket knowing that they had to mark them down, and he paid $2. And he's laughing about this. He's not like saying, oh, you know, I really had to do this. I really regret it. He's like, oh, I got away with it. He's just so gleeful with it. And it's really hard to put into words how horrible it was. But Danny Griffin, I know you probably have some thoughts.
Yeah, just coming from the inner city, and you know, my stepdad died when I was in middle school, so most of my upbringing was single parent. So when you need something, and you're looking for father figures, and you're looking for accolades, and you're trying to graduate and trying to play on TV, whatever you're looking for, people see the desperation in your eyes. They see that you're looking for hope. People take advantage of kids like this all day long. I've been an education teacher for over 20 years, and every year in June, when you put that pressure on kids and you put those kids in the assembly, you say, he's going to UCLA, he's doing this. There's a whole bunch of kids that don't have that same thing lined up. So now all these schools come in that's making these kids sign up for financial aid, getting $40,000 a year, and then they graduate from there making $1,550. You know, we don't want to talk about that racket because that's just similar to this, right? So kids out there that's listening, when people talk about vocational and trade schools, you can go to a community college, pay under $2,000 if you're in state, instead of paying $40,000, $50,000, you know, financial aid, because kids that need hope, they just sign up for anything. Oh, when I graduate, I'm going to be a medical assistant. I'm going to be this and I'm going to do this. It's the same thing with this coach. So we got to be careful in our community for predators that prey on us for us to sign our name up to get financial aid, because you got a lot of bogus vocational and trade schools out here too, doing the same stuff with no students, raping our kids with all this money, and it's the same thing. Similar, very similar. It's a lot of rackets that go on in our community because people prey on people that are in need of guidance and structure, right? And that's looking for hope. And that's been systematically broken down generation after generation after generation. So it's just not football. This crosses many, many different areas. And hopefully, you know, the town hall meeting or something, we can come together. Maybe we could talk to Tavis about doing it. We could start it. But we need to touch all these different areas and educate our young people because they're looking for hope. And it's usually adults that prey on them that's going to benefit on the back end from the financial aid, from the PPP, from the GR, the GD, whatever it is, right? So we got to educate our young people and let them know that the hope is educating yourself and understanding what you need to do to get to that next step. Not what you tell me, but what I do know and what I got to work for, because you got to work for something to get something. Ain't nothing free out here. You know what I mean? And this man created a free false fallacy for these young men, and I'm glad 2 of them are at the University of Louisville going to school, trying to make it, trying to graduate the right way, opposed to playing football. Because football, all sports ain't good for you, right? Everything that's gold ain't good for you, right? The main thing is graduating with a degree any way you can legally, right? Because sports sometimes can trick you. When the lights go off, you got to be more prepared going out than coming in. That's facts.
From the church to the palace. Amen, Danny. I mean, that's it's so true, man. And kids that age are their brains are not fully developed yet. I remember being in college, and there was a fair for my one year that I was at San Jose State. I remember there was like a fair there, and I ended up signing up for a couple credit cards because I was like, oh man, you know, this is cool. It's free. You know, I didn't fully understand how credit worked. I didn't know. You know, I definitely didn't have any idea what interest rates were and how that impacted, you know, the amount you have to pay back and what kind of hole you can put yourself in. I had no idea. I just know that I didn't have money and I wanted a way to be able to buy some things I needed. And so I got credit cards, ended up being, you know, I don't know, $12,000, $15,000 in debt.
Wow.
By the time I got out of college, in credit card debt, not just student loans. And so that's because I just didn't know at the time. And you know, it's people who are young. We don't think things through all the time, and we don't even know the things to think about sometimes. And this dude Roy knew that, and he took full advantage of it. And I thank both y'all for watching the documentary, so we could talk about it, because it was hard to watch. BS High, such an unironic name. It's so funny. Just he called the school Bishop Sycamore, so BS.
Perfect.
So it was literally BS High. Literally.
And shout out to Travion Free that directed it. That's my former student from Davis Middle School in Compton, California, former basketball player at Long Beach State and Compton Dominguez. Great dude.
Oh yeah, he did a great job with this documentary for sure.
Nice.
Before we run out of time, fellas, want to give a shout out to Coco Gauff. She has made it to the U.S. Open Finals. She will be playing the 2 seed. She's the 6th seed. So, Dr. Fletcher, how do you think she'll do in the finals?
I think she has a really good shot. I remember watching her at 15 years old be the youngest qualifier at Wimbledon, and the ups and downs and all of that. And I always thought to myself, she could be the next one. She could be the next Venus. I don't know about Serena, but she could be the next Venus. I think she has a really good shot at it. And real quick, shout out to black representation at the U.S. Open, from Tiafoe to Shelton. Shelton, the youngster, 20-year-old Ben Shelton, who took down Tiafoe, he just lost to Djokovic in straight sets earlier today. But that kid is the next one. He got the gift. So I was proud of representation, and I'm rooting for Coco tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that match. I'm glad it's going to fall on a Saturday. Danny, what do you think about Coco being in the finals, and how do you think she'll do?
I think she's going to win. Her time is now. She's been through the ups and downs, adversity. She's been there. She's knocked at the door. Black tennis, black excellence. You don't just have to play basketball, baseball, and the traditional sports. Let's start doing some of this other stuff too. Black tennis, black excellence.
Yeah, man. She's playing Ariana Sabalenka, who I got to see who's favored in that match. It should be a pretty close line. I'm definitely going to be betting on Coco in that one. And just big shout out to her for as you said, Danny. She's overcome a lot. She's she paid her dues. She's she's earned this, and she's got the game. She's got the temperament. She can do it. And the match is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. Always a pleasure having both you guys here, especially for the whole show. Dr. Fletcher, where can we find you online?
You can go to my website, SeanJFletcher.com, and my now X handle, and Instagram is the same, at Sean, SHAUNJ Fletcher.
And
y'all can keep laughing, but the rebranding coming soon. It's coming soon, baby.
Set you up.
I'm old school. Dan Griff on Facebook. I'm old school. Catch me in the streets helping somebody.
On Black Planet.
not Black Planet.
MySpace.
Oh, man. Wow.
Sky Pager.
I wouldn't
It's
even...
all love.
Danny said, "Beat me later."
Hilarious.
Hey, no, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all very much, Danny. I'm gonna hit you on Facebook, man. You can follow me at Avi
Sounds
Bernard.
so bad. I got to do better.
You do. You've been saying it's coming for like 6 months. So I'm
trying to wait till my business gets launched in 2 months.
Eventually, it's gonna have to come. Coming up next is Robin Ayers with the Raw Report. Have a great weekend. I'm Avi Bernard, and I am gone.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The final report from the special grand jury in Georgia that investigated former President Trump has been released. This grand jury recommended charges against South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, former Georgia